Okay, members, audience, welcome to the Education Instruction Subcommittee. This is our first meeting for the 113th General Assembly on January 31st, 2023. We're going to call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Representative Chisholm, Representative Glenn, Representative Hakeem, Representative Hicks, Representative Johnson, Representative Leatherwood, Representative McCollum,
Here.
Representative Moody, Representative Reagan, Representative Raper, Representative Warner, Representative White, Chairman Sapicki.
Here.
You have a quorum, sir.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Members, before we get going, we do have some new members to education, and I think everybody should introduce themselves. So I will start, and then we will go to my right. So Representative McCallum, you'll be next. I am State Representative Scott Sapicki. I serve District 64, which is now the eastern side of Murray County. I used to represent all of Murray County, but 10 years after the census, that changed that. I am a father of two high school boys. I have a wife of 25 years, and I am a banker and a cattleman by trade. So I just want to say I'm glad to be serving you and serving this committee. I look forward to a very good year in education. So we'll go to my right. Mr. McCallum.
Jake McCalman out of the eastern portion of Williamson County, District 63. I'm married to my beautiful wife, Rochelle, who is a pre-K teacher, and I have 3 beautiful daughters that are in Williamson County Public Schools and couldn't be more proud or blessed to have them.
Thank you. Chairman Moody.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm Deborah Moody, and I represent District 81 in beautiful West Tennessee. It is all of Tipton and part of Haywood, where Blue Oval will reside, is working to get there anyway. And I am a mom, and I got to be a stay-at-home mom. I wanted to do that, and we were able to do that. So with 4 kids, we were busy, and now we have 2 grandchildren. So I kind of want to be a stay-at-home grandmom, but that's why I'm here, for the children, right? So thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Representative Glenn.
Representative Glenn, District 67, which is Montgomery County, Clarksville, Montgomery County area. Been married 31 years. I have 4 kids, 11 grandkids, which have all been part of the public school system. So I am very excited to be here and thankful to be here, to be honest with you. And I look forward to working with you all and the committee to get some things done for the state. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Johnson.
Representative Gloria Johnson from Knoxville in the new District 90, which used to be in West Tennessee, has made a big hop over to East Tennessee, so part of Knoxville. I am a lifelong teacher and supporter of public schools, and I'm thrilled to be here.
Thank you. Representative Chisholm.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jesse Chisholm out of District 85, Memphis, Tennessee. I am a recovering educator, and I'm just glad to be here and look forward to everything that we do here.
Thank you. Chairman White.
Thank you very much. My name is Mark White. I'm from District 83, which is Memphis, parts of Memphis, and also a community called Germantown. I'd like to recognize Peer Power here, Malcolm Rawls and all the Peer Power group with us today. Thank you all for being here. I just saw a picture going back home. You can't drive back home tonight. The streets are kind of iced over. But I also chair the other Education Administration Committee, and I told the committee this morning, it's hard to believe it, 14th year. And I do pretty good until I talk to Dale Lynch, and he kind of confuses me on a lot of things. But good to see you again, Mr. Dale Lynch of TOSS. But I look forward to working on this committee with the chairman and moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Representative Hakeem.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm Yusuf Hakeem, District 28 out of Chattanooga, Hamilton County. Came out of my 3rd retirement to come and be a part of the legislature. My beautiful wife, we've been together for 57 years. We have 4 children, 4 grandchildren, 4 great-grandchildren. And thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Chairman, to share, and I'm glad to be a part of this committee.
Thank you. Representative Leatherwood.
Tom Leatherwood, District 99. I have northeast Shelby County and near where District 90 used to be. married for 30 years, 5 daughters, and just want to say you've had a great influence on the subcommittee this morning. I'll just say it. I don't think anybody mentioned their wives until until you did the little add-on at the end, and suddenly everybody starts mentioning their wives. So I mentioned mine up front there, but just glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Raper.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Kevin Raper. I'm from the 24th District, which is Cleveland, Tennessee, and a little bit of Bradley County. And I have a wife of 32 years that I'm proud of. I married way up, outputting my coverage. And I have 2 sons named Neelan and Manning. I'll let you guess who I support. And in addition to that, I am a lifelong educator. My wife is still in education after 39 years, and both my mother and my father are retired educators. So I'm looking forward to the committee, and we're going to have a bunch of fun.
Thank you. Representative Hicks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tim Hicks from Washington County, that got the north end of Washington County. It's District 6. I'm a home builder of about 42 years. I have 2 grandbabies, Libby and Keegan, which is 4 and 2, and a son named Kyle, and my wonderful, beautiful wife, Carrie. So just glad to be here. Looking forward to education this year. Looking forward to working with Chairman Speaky and just trying to make education better in Tennessee. Thanks.
Thank you. Representative Warner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Todd Warner from the 92nd District, which consists of Marshall County and the southern part of Williamson County. I have 3 children that were all products of the public school system in Marshall County. I'm a grading and utilities contractor. I do a lot of site work on new schools that are being built, and been married for 32 years. Thank you.
And Representative Reagan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is John Reagan. I represent District 33, which is the major portion of Anderson County. My county seat is Clinton, and my major population area is the city of Oak Ridge, which includes the Y-12 National Security Complex and Oak Ridge National Labs. I have 3 school districts in my legislative district: Oak Ridge City Schools, Clinton City Schools, and Anderson County Schools. All 3 of them do well. Oak Ridge City Schools especially, they're usually state ranked in most categories. So it's a pleasure to be on education. And I won't make the same mistake I made this morning. I will acknowledge my lovely wife of 52 years who provided 2 wonderful children, and I have 3 grandchildren. I think I covered the bases there.
You did.
You got it.
So that is your legislative committee up here. Let me make some other introductions here. To my right is Katie Robinson. She's the attorney. Robertson. She is the attorney for us. To my left is Colleen Ellis. She's our research analyst. Legislative assistant is Jan Wright. The clerk is Desiree White. The sergeant at arms is Terry Van Treese. Terry, how you doing? And then in the back, our recorder is Caitlin Bowling. Caitlin, how you doing? She's going to keep us looking good. So, committee, you've had the rules were sent to you electronically. If you have any questions on the rules, let us know. We'll be happy to answer those questions. If anything arises during the meeting, we'll make sure that we'll keep everybody up to speed on how we're going to handle issues that arise in the committee. Regarding testimonies, please submit requests by email to testify 24 hours in advance to research analyst Colleen Ellis and my assistant Jan. You need to know the name, the organization you represent, the email address, a phone number, what bill number you want to speak on, and whether or not you are for or against a bill, so we can organize that going back and forth if we have multiple people presenting. No one will testify in this. No one will testify if this information has not been emailed 24 hours in advance. There will be no exceptions to that. Colleen will notify you whether or not you may testify, and testimony will be limited to 3 minutes. Before we get going, are there any personal orders? So before we get into our presentations, I worked on something here, and I've talked to Chairman White and Chairman Moody about it, about the why. Why are we here? What is our job as legislators? So why do we serve? What makes this subcommittee and its work so important? The answer for me is always my children, my neighbors' children, and the grandchildren, Tennessee's children and young adults. We are here to be focused on our students, Members, that means we will always need to have students and their future, their ability to compete, to think, to earn a living, and most importantly, to look after this republic of ours. Education is so important for entrepreneurship and for self-reliance, this essential component of governing in liberty. We owe it to our students and young people to not be satisfied with just okay. We must strive to be the best at providing excellent opportunities, at making the structure of education the best it can be. This means making sure our high schools partner with our TCATs and community colleges and universities, provide opportunities for students to move at their own pace, and come out of the process ready to be self-sufficient and ready to compete. Members, what does that mean for us? It means asking the questions. It really means getting the answers. It means understanding that we will create oversight structures that will sometimes make adults uncomfortable in order to foster student success and opportunity. We as legislators will spend the time and the effort to represent the folks in our districts. We have to carefully consider bills on their behalf. But it also means we have to provide the oversight necessary. This means as committee chairman, I will be interrupting presenters sometimes and drilling down on our questions. It means I will do my best to gently remind everyone to be focused on our students. We will give every bill a fair hearing from a lens of what helps our students become independent thinkers and self-sufficient Tennesseans. We will maintain the dignity of the People's House and of the process. We are, after all, the People's House, and we must have answers. We must think about education and all of the processes of our state government in terms of what will help those people succeed in being independent, thoughtful, strong citizens. So members, today we have 7 presenters, and the way this will work is we're going to give 5 minutes to each one of them, and I appreciate you signing up to speak to address this committee. I think it's very important that we hear from the people that we represent on how we can solve the educational process and the problems that plague us in education in Tennessee. You'll have 5 minutes to speak. When you get within 30 seconds, Colleen will let you know, and we'll ask you to wrap up. It will be a hard stop on your presentation at 5 minutes. Now, we will allow the committee to ask questions of you. If by chance we run over and we don't get to everybody, we will roll everybody to next week and we'll take up where we left off until we finish the presentations. Our job is to hear from you. Our job is to listen on the ways that we can make our educational system not the best in Tennessee, not the best in the region, but the best in the United States. So everybody looks at Tennessee not only as an economic might, but an educational power. So first up we have is Peer Power Foundation. If you'll come up to the microphone, introduce yourselves, tell us where you're from, and then you'll have 5 minutes from the time I give you the nod, okay?
Okay.
Yes. Okay. That's fine. Go ahead. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Courtney Richardson from Memphis, Tennessee, CEO of Peer Power Foundation. Peer Power Foundation, so to all of you, I honor you. Looking forward to what this committee will turn out this year for our students. But I am a CEO of Peer Power Foundation, which is a private nonprofit organization in Memphis, Tennessee. Been trusted, proven model where we hire college students to be tutors and mentors inside of high school classrooms during the day. So that's one of the things that makes our model unique. You hear a lot of tutoring and mentoring programs that do things after school and that do things on Saturday. But Peer Power, we put college students who are already successful inside of classrooms, and that addresses a few different things. It addresses the student or the student to adult ratio. So that student to adult ratio we know can be 1 to 30. And now anybody in the room that wants to meet the individual needs of 30 high school students at one time, I'm sure that superintendents would love for you to sign up to be teachers in their district. But what we recognize is that that is hard to do. So what we do is we put those college students in the classroom during the day so that we can really meet the individualized needs of those students inside outside of high school classrooms. And so those students serve as not just tutors, but as mentors as well, because what we recognize, particularly coming off of COVID, and then even conditions that pre-existed COVID, there are students who need more than just tutoring. They need holistic care and holistic development. So we train this cohort of university students from the area and deploy them to meet their tutoring needs as well as those mentoring needs for our students. So as you can see from the handout that you have, we've been in operation for 18 years, nearly 20 years of youth development, and we do that again through tutoring and mentoring. We want to make sure that students are not just college ready, but we want them to be workforce ready as well, because not all students are going to go to college, but it is important in Tennessee that we make sure that students are ready for the workforce. And so we pump out, or we produce students who are ready for the workforce as well. And so we, over these 18 years, we've invested more than $25 million in this model. It is proven. You can also see on the handout that you have that the graduation rate for peer power schools is higher than the graduation rate at our local school district. And so that is significant, because when someone does not graduate from high school, they make in their lifetime $1 million less than those that do graduate from high school, which means that those young people that do not graduate are not contributing to the economic prosperity of our cities, of our states, and we want to curb that. Unfortunately, also, when you do not graduate from high school, you are more likely to be involved in the criminal justice system as well. You can look at the back of your brochure and you will see how much money is spent in the criminal justice system, not just in Shelby County, not just in Tennessee, but in our nation as a whole, where peer power, when we invest $400 to $500 in this model, we will see the needle move. So if the graduation rates are 10% higher, and they are at peer power schools than those that are not at peer power schools currently, that means we are graduating. Can you do a roundup? Can you do a drum roll? We are graduating 800 more students through this program, and the investment is simply $400 to $500 a student. I heard somebody say, Mr. Chairman, that at this committee, we're looking out for the welfare of our children. Are our children worth $400 or $500 of investment so that we can curve the low graduation rates, low ACT scores, so that they can really be prepared not just for college, but workforce ready as well. Thank you for your time. Want to give a shout out to our Shelby County delegation. Thank you so much for your support and the support all over Tennessee. Thank you so much.
Members, do you have any questions? That's going to be tough to follow. Chairman White.
No, I was just going to add to that. I met with Courtney and Malcolm was it early last summer?
Oh, yeah.
I think it was.
Oh, yeah.
Went down and met with them at the University of Memphis, and doing great work, and having college students mentor into our K through 12 system is a big effect. So you're doing great work. We're looking for ways to support you more, partnerships and things. So thank you for making the trip up here and sharing that with the committee.
Thank you.
Good work.
Thank you.
How many schools are you in Shelby County?
So we're in 12 high schools now, and in those 12 high schools, we have deployed over 140 college students, and we're supporting 99 teachers.
Do you have the ability to continue to scale that in Shelby County schools?
We are here today because we want to scale that model in Shelby County and across Tennessee.
And are you getting support from Shelby County?
We do receive some support from Shelby County, but your support would allow us to expand to more schools sooner and quicker.
So Shelby County going through a transition with the superintendent down there. Are you receiving, not financial support, are you receiving support from them of they're all behind this program and they wish to expand it if we had more opportunity?
Absolutely. They asked us to expand into all schools this school year, but we told them, listen, we have to have more capital in order to do that at the rate that they've asked us. So our strategic model has us expanding by 2 schools each year until we're in all schools. But I'm really interested in going into some rural areas as well. So because of our partnership with University of Memphis, we're looking to go to the Jackson area so that we could do this in a rural area as well.
And what level of education are you with your college students? Are they freshmen and juniors, seniors?
They range from freshmen all the way up to graduate level.
So there is no restrictions on just people want to volunteer?
They do not volunteer. They are paid to do this, and they're paid. The college students get paid $16.50 an hour, which we know when you're hiring students from a metropolitan or rural area who are college students, they may be first generation, and there are barriers that they face as well. So we wanted to make sure that this wasn't a volunteer model. We wanted this to be substantive work where they can receive pay as well as professional development, which in turn prepares them for other industries as well.
Chairman White, $16.50 an hour, you might have a summer job for us. Go ahead, Chairman.
Another thing I like about this program, when you put that many college students into the K through 12 system, a lot of them say, hey, I kind of like working with young people, so it's another teacher pipeline that we can attract young people to go into the teaching profession.
Yes, sir. So since 2015, which is the launch of the model that I've shared with you all today, we've had more than 100 of our young people become educators. And so we were not after that, but it has been said that Peer Power Foundation is the greatest teacher preparation pipeline because you have college students who did not declare that they were going to be education majors. You have college students who may be a psychology major, criminal justice major, after being in the classroom for 2.5 years, which is the average time that they spend with us. They say, wait, I can do this. And they have more experience working with Peer Power than they do when they go through the teacher, student teaching program.
Members, any other questions? Representative Chisholm.
I don't know if this is a testimony or not, but I got a chance to see Peer Power at work when I was in the classroom. It was before the current model that you all have now, and we got a chance to see test scores take a jump because students were being tutored by their peers, so they were able to speak the same language and be able to connect with those students that we had at a different level than those of us who were teachers and administrators.
So teachers fight for 2 reasons. They fight because their students would rather talk to our success coaches about the content because we have those college students that help them. And then teachers fight if we say we're taking their success coaches away. So we have a teacher who's been teaching for 30 plus years. She is qualified for retirement. She told her principal, I will not retire as long as I have a Peer Power success coach in my classroom.
Members? I'm assuming that if any member wanted to come down and tour one of the schools you're in, that'd be okay?
Absolutely. We're more than happy to host.
Fantastic. Thank you for your presentation. Great job.
Thank you for your time.
Next up is Tennessee Independent Colleges and Universities Association. Dr. Presnell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Thanks, Courtney. Geesh, you set the bar so high. It's like, So it's a pleasure to be with you. In your materials, you have the case statement for the Tennessee Independent Colleges and Universities. I'm Dr. Claude Presnell. I have the privilege of serving as the president of the association, and have been with the association 27 years. So we represent all the private and non-for-profit institutions in the state of Tennessee that are domiciled here and are accredited either nationally or regionally accredited. There are 34 campuses from Memphis out to Bristol. It's one of those situations where if you look at them, you know the one that is in your local area, but you may not know collectively that the institutions actually enroll nearly 80,000 students. Every year we confer 20,000 degrees in the state of Tennessee. The majority of those degrees that we confer are actually in the health sciences area. The second level is in the business area. We do, however, confer 1,100 degrees in teacher education every year. So we put 1,100 new teachers into the school system every year. The campuses, like I said, range. It's a really diverse membership. We have got predominantly four-year liberal arts and sciences school, but we have some graduate-only programs. Southern College of Optometry in Memphis is graduate-only. At Middle Tennessee School of Anesthesia, Meharry Medical College, those are our graduate-only programs. But the majority, again, are in that four-year liberal arts and sciences arena. So, Mr. Chairman, we appreciate being a resource to you, and anything we can do to help you, we'd be happy to do so. Very good, thank you.
Of Tennessee.
Claude wanted to yield the rest of his time to me. I think it's right, Claude? So anyway, members, Mr. Chairman, thank you for the opportunity to speak. As far as I know, this is the first time anyone's ever done this. So I think this is a unique opportunity for us to speak and to actually get to know each other. So I welcome you that. We'll talk a little bit about, since I had to pay for my degree in history, I'd like to share something with you. You know, the Scots-Irish came to America in waves. They came to America first. They were pushed out of their countries. And they came here. And then subsequently, Tennessee, they got pushed out of their communities and the colonies. So we came to Tennessee pretty quick. And that's my heritage, and I'm very proud of it. They arrived here looking for economic opportunity. They brought virtues we admire, like self-reliance, hard work, creativity, and ingenuity. Well, along came the 1860s Civil War. The Irish, starving in their own countries, found any ship they could to get here. They landed usually in the port of New York. And so as they got there, they came off the things. We welcomed them to America. We handed them a rifle, and we pointed them right in the direction of the Civil War and let them go fight. The first place they go, or one of the first places they go in 1862 in December, is Fredericksburg, one of the bloodiest battles of the world. 1,200 Irish soldiers go there. Only 280 survived the onslaught going up against the Confederates there. Robert E. Lee said about the Irish that fought there, braver men were there none. The Irish said about themselves, war-battered dogs are we, gnawing a naked bone, fighters in every clime and place, for all causes but our own. In life, that's what we're looking for, is a cause. And in education is my cause. This is what I've spent my whole entire adult life doing. And I would also like to mention, but our teachers, they sometimes feel battered. They feel like they're tired. And sometimes we do things here and we forget to solicit their input into the process. So I would really encourage you to not only do things like this, Chairman Subcommittee, and bring people up to speak, but let teachers come to the podium and speak sometimes and hear directly from them. And I appreciate it because as a representative, and I know other representatives will come speak on their behalf, but I hear all the time they want to come. So every time I come here, you know, you guys see me do this, I bring teachers with me. We all agree that teaching is one of the most important jobs in society. However, critics want to continue to blame educators and or schools. The truth is, we have societal issues that go way beyond the classroom. American economist Walter Williams nailed this issue many years ago. He said, for somebody to do well in school, somebody needs to make him go to bed on time, to get a good 10 hours sleep, and somebody must make him do his homework, somebody must feed him breakfast in the morning, and somebody must make him mind the teacher, said Williams. If those things are not done, I don't care how much money you put into a school system, education will not occur. In the last 2 decades in education, we have blamed colleges of education, we have blamed school districts, we have blamed schools, we have blamed teachers, we have blamed parents, we've even blamed kids. However, we have never blamed the outside influences that come here in this state and address some of the damage they have done. We have bought into everything. They have pushed many failed education reforms from Race to the Top, the Common Core, to increase standardized testing. Have education reformers made education worse? You decide. What is clear, powerful groups from outside Tennessee continue to pour money into our state, and nobody even bothers to question it. We should ask everybody who comes here to speak or to influence our policies or testify before this legislative body where they get their funding from. Mine comes from the members that pay dues to my organization. Tennessee is one of the 5 states that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has targeted in education. If we want to improve education, we need to close the gates. In the name of reform and federal dollars, we have chased ideas that didn't serve our children or educators in Tennessee very well. It's time we question the role the federal government plays in education and the importance we give some of these groups. 3 things I would leave you with, I'm glad to talk about, but 3 issues. Teacher pipeline, I could go into that. I know I'm about running out of time. Colleen's giving me the look. Third grade retention, I'd like to talk about that. I've got some ideas. I know that we've talked with. I think I've got some pretty good solutions. And then I've got some other issues that we've talked about and some of you guys are already working on. But we have societal problems that are much larger than any school or district can address. For example, and I'll get into that later, but we must put teachers in positions where they can teach and students in a position where they can flourish. Our education system works best with parental support and involvement. We must advocate for a more robust discussion without the undue influence of special interest and highlight the transformation power of education in the next generation. At Tennessee, we detest hypocrisy and we appreciate straight talk and candor. If we are true to our heritage, and we must speak up and we must speak out on issues that matter. It's who we are as Tennesseans. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bowman. Give me 3 ideas about the third grade retention, what
Yes.
you would do different.
Yes, sir, I got a little more than that, but I will tell you that we need to revisit our standards. Simply put, we know we have too many to begin with. We come up here every year, our teachers come up here and go, hey, we want less, and we send it up to the bureaucracy and we get more back. So you need to look at how you could redo that, make it basic or advanced, something like that, or however you want to do that. Provide necessary funding and support for K through 2 students, even before we discuss retention. Determine interventions. We need to make sure our K-2 students are on track, even before they get to third grade. We need to take a hard look at school readiness. That's one of the things the comptroller came out with a report on. It said data shows, this is a statistic that blew my mind. Data shows students that entered kindergarten at 6 or older scored about 10% higher in the third grade English language arts test than their peers who started school at age 5 or under. That statistic jumped at me. That's a comptroller, neutral. Move summer school and enrichment back into kindergarten to third grade. I think that's some of the things that are discussed. And expand tutoring. I like these guys. Give the teachers more control over the classroom to identify kids who are struggling and give students more support to be successful. And data must be tracked more effectively and be available to policymakers like you guys and stakeholders so we can judge the quality and the reliability of the interventions.
Well, thank you for that. And would you please make sure that the teachers know that they're welcome here anytime?
Yes, sir.
Please.
Yes, sir. In your district, you're well liked.
Thank you.
And I appreciate that.
Chairman White.
Quickly, since you're a historian and you mentioned the Irish, in Memphis down by the river in the late 1800s, the Irish immigrated to Memphis, and that area is called the Pinch District. You know why?
No, sir, because they picked green or the orange?
Because they were so malnourished, they had the pinch, it's called the pinch gut. And so they were very malnourished, and their stomach touched their belts, and so they called it the Pinch District. Just add that to your collection.
I will, yes, sir. Because I keep up with that.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Bowman. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next up, Tennessee History for Kids. If you'd introduce yourself, and then you have 5 minutes.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Bill Carey. I was once a reporter down here a long time ago, but 19 years ago I started Tennessee History for Kids to help teachers cover Tennessee history. I did this because they didn't really have much in the way of curriculum and textbooks with which to do this. Tennessee history and geography was and remains scattered throughout the K through 12 curriculum through the standards, and the world of official textbooks didn't really and still doesn't really address their needs. We are a nonprofit organization. There are 3 current members of the Tennessee General Assembly on our board, Representative Sam Whitson, Representative Karen Camper, and Senator Art Swan. We also have 3 former legislators, those being Lieutenant Governor Ron Ramsey, Steve McDaniel, and Mark Maddox. We started as a website that thousands of teachers now use regularly. Eventually, we expanded to print. Today, our flagship products are 96-page booklets that we sell for the subsidized rate of $2.50. Should sell them for more, but we're subsidized, so that's what we sell them for. Right now, we have about 15 titles in circulation, and I'm giving each of you a partial set because I want you to know what we do. As it turns out, some of our biggest customers happen to be the school systems of some of you on this very committee. Williamson County is probably our best customer, for example. Washington County, we're big in Washington County. Marshall County, Oak Ridge City, Lakeland, Collierville, Knox County. Some of these counties I might be able to run for public office and win. I probably couldn't here, but that's a joke for public officials. Anyway, I'm big in Washington County, but I don't even live there. I should also point out that we don't just do Tennessee history anymore. Our booklets also cover first and second grade social studies concepts, civics, and basic U.S. history. To the degree that public school students learn anything about how the legislature works, they probably do it on our civics page on our website, which was I originally wrote with a man named William Snodgrass, who was the comptroller at the time. Our booklets are set up to cover the social studies standards, and we generally don't go much beyond those topics. We have one booklet for first, which covers all the social studies standards for that grade. We have one for second, 2 for third, 3 for fourth, 3 for fifth, 1 for eighth, and 1 for 11th. We have sold about 1.3 million of these booklets during the last 6 years. I'll be glad to explain more about these, why we do them, etc., if any of you wants to ask any specific questions. Shifting on, Tennessee History for Kids is also the largest provider of social studies in-service training in the state. Last year we did 4 in-person events, one of which took place at the Capitol. We had 3 legislators who spoke on that thing. This is what they get for running to me in the hallway. We did 6 the year before, and I want to thank Representative John Reagan, who spoke at one of those in Oak Ridge. Also in 2022, we had 17 Zoom-in services on topics ranging from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement. We usually have about 75 or 80 teachers at all of our Zooms. I have one tomorrow. So that's us and what we do. Now let me tell you 2 things that my teachers are struggling with right now. One is that many school systems don't make social studies and history a priority. Social studies is officially a half subject in many schools and systems. Teachers might do only 30 minutes of social studies a day or do a week of social studies and then not do it for a week. And so it's a half subject. Administrators largely do this because of testing. The world of standardized testing downplays social studies. Think about it. When you took the ACT, was there a single social studies question on the ACT? No, there wasn't. So, standardized testing mainly focuses on reading comprehension, math, and science. I, on the other hand, believe social studies and history is what makes a student want to read in the first place. In Anderson County, there's a great man named Barry Thacker, a civil engineer who's done more to restore the history of Coal Creek of anyone who has ever lived. He agrees with me. He thinks that the best way to produce civil engineers is to teach kids our history, and he finances a scholarship program at Briceville, of all places, to do this. So unfortunately, his opinion and my opinion is not a widely held opinion. The other thing I want to address is supplemental materials. As the producer of one of Tennessee's most widely used supplemental materials, I need to point out that the vast majority of teachers in our state do not actually have textbooks that cover all of their required social studies standards. Their school system might have adopted a textbook, but that doesn't mean they bought them. They might have bought them, but they might have bought one classroom set of 30 for 180 students. And even if they did buy them for each student, many of the official textbooks aren't very good. I'm sorry if I tell you that, but it's true. Also, there is no official textbook that covers all the social studies standards, especially the Tennessee-specific topics such as the Battle of Shiloh, the Manhattan Project, Tennessee's involvement in the passage of the 19th Amendment, and Fayette County's Tent City movement. So please understand that for the last 30 years, ever since Don Sundquist put us on the internet, teachers have been trained to search for and find supplemental materials. That's why they go to conferences such as mine and the Tennessee Council for Social Studies. So anyway, I appreciate your courtesy, and I'm more than willing to answer any of your questions in person. And please enjoy all the free literature.
Thank you, Mr. Carey. I appreciate it. What grade levels do you serve K through 12, the whole gambit, or are you limited?
I focus primarily on grades 1 through 5 and then 8 and 11. And in case you're wondering why, first and second and third are kind of basic social studies. 4th and 5th are like U.S. and Tennessee history. 8th, and then they do U.S. history again in 8th/11th. And in those grades, the booklet that we do focuses on the specific things that are in those grades that the textbook, if they have one, probably doesn't cover, like the Scopes trial. We want our kids to know more about the Scopes trial than is in the textbook. We don't do world history, which is in 6th and 7th, and I don't know high school economics. So,
Do you focus on making sure that these books do align to the standards that the teachers are teaching?
yes, I probably, the second the social studies standards came out, I probably spent more time staring at the 230-page document than anyone. And I spent a lot of time staring at these bureaucratic standards and saying, okay, how can we do this for a third grader to make them want to do it? And that's kind of what I spent a lot of time doing.
That might be a question later for the State Board of Education. We'll talk to them later about that
Yeah.
issue. Any other question? Representative Hakeem.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, sir, for, in my view, a great contribution
Thank
that
you.
you and the organization are making to our state. What I'm gathering from your comments is that we, in maybe it's not just Tennessee, are questioning the value that we put on our history. And could you, maybe you've already done it, sort of emphasize to us what we get out of knowing our history, the real deal, so to speak?
Well, I go back to my friend whose job it is to produce civil engineers, and he talked about how the story of Coal Creek, for example, which is an extremely rural and poor part of Anderson County. He thinks that in order to inspire a kid who's probably from a very poor part of the county, that you start with telling the story, why it is that you're here, why it is that these abandoned mines are here, or in the case of a poor kid, explaining the civil rights movement to them. I think the thing I've probably spent the most time fighting for the last 18 years is the idea that history happened somewhere else. Like the civil rights movement didn't happen here. Well, actually it did. And the Civil War didn't happen. Well, actually that did too. And almost every aspect of American history, if you explain it to somebody and talk about the Tennessee Hook, then all of a sudden it opens an eye. It's like, oh, that's why that thing's off the side of the interstate. And all of a sudden it opens. But if students don't realize that oh, we had this thing called the sit-ins that happened here on Jefferson Street and on Fifth Avenue about 2 blocks away. Oh, that was closer than Selma. I didn't know that happened. And by the way, there were sit-ins in Chattanooga. So I don't know if that answers your question. By the way, the social studies coordinator in Hamilton County used to be on our board. But this is interesting. She had to go back into the classroom because she was making more money. And again, it's not a high priority.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'd like to get your card if you
Yes,
have
sir.
it before you leave. Okay.
Any other questions, members? Mr. Kerry, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for making this happen.
Thank you. Education Trust. If you'll introduce yourself and give you 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Chairwoman Moody, Chairman White, Subcommittee Chairman Sapicki, and members of the House Education Instruction Committee, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Reginald Nash, and I serve as the External Relations Manager for the Education Trust in Tennessee, a nonprofit, nonpartisan research and advocacy organization committed to improving learning outcomes and educational experiences for students across our state, with an emphasis on students from historically under-resourced and underserved communities. We also convene the Tennessee Alliance for Equity in Education, a diverse coalition of over 80 organizations from the civil rights, education, business, policy research, and nonprofit communities that shares our commitment to strengthening the education outcomes for our most vulnerable students. While there are many education issues that EdTrust Tennessee and our partners engage on, the topic that we want to discuss with you today is 3rd and 4th grade retention. We are pleased to see legislators' openness to hearing from parents, educators, district leaders, and stakeholders like us on this critical issue, as demonstrated by the host of legislative proposals put forth this session. Since the Tennessee learning loss legislation was first passed, we have remained engaged and closely followed the path to its implementation. In 2021, we released a brief analyzing the provisions of the law related to retention, relevant peer-reviewed research, and lessons learned in other state contexts. And most recently, we composed a memo on the potential implications of the law, which our team will ensure every member of this committee receives. We have also closely tracked all legislation introduced this session seeking to revise the retention provisions of this law as it's currently written. And in this spirit, I'd like to share several important considerations and recommendations as the General Assembly undergoes the important work of addressing stakeholder concerns around this law and meeting the literacy needs of our state's early grade learners. So given the various factors affecting retention decisions and exemption scenarios, and while the exact number of students that will be retained is not clear due to some data limitations, we can all agree that the current state of student literacy is a cause for major concern and attention. And looking back at the unique characteristics and learning experience of this specific third grade class, it is arguable that no other cohort of students has faced a more difficult path in early elementary. In March 2020, when our society was shaken by the COVID-19 pandemic, these students were in kindergarten. And though I stand before you today as an education advocate, I was formerly a kindergarten teacher at a state-run achievement school district school in Memphis, pouring my heart and my soul into some of our state's most vulnerable early learners. I really cannot imagine the experiences of parents, educators, and most importantly, our students under those egregious pandemic conditions, facing interrupted learning, inconsistent opportunities for immersion into the science of reading, and the collective trauma of a public health emergency. For students from low-income families and in under-resourced schools, these experiences were even more grave. And we owe it to our current third grade students, as well as our early learners in grades PK through 2, to really proactively invest our time, energy, and resources into robust interventions such as tutoring and immersive learning camps to propel our literacy rates. As such, the General Assembly should consider revising the law to permit students at risk of retention who opt into reading tutoring at the beginning of third grade, as opposed to after it, and as early as kindergarten to be promoted. This approach could possibly be easier to implement, requires less bureaucracy to track, and proactively gets more students into reading tutoring before and during third grade. Next, according to 2021-2022 ELA TCAP data, our state's English learners are at a heightened risk of being retained as the law is written. Only English language learners who have less than 2 years of language instruction are exempt from the risk of retention. But the law does not account for significant concerns around English proficiency. If students are not yet proficient in English, they are highly unlikely to earn a proficient score on the ELA TCAP and should therefore not be punished for their lack of language proficiency. Since an EL student's level of proficiency is what actually drives their instructional needs, not how many years of ELO instruction they have received, the General Assembly should consider addressing this and revising the law to exclude all active English language learners in WIDA access levels 1 through 4 from being retained. Finally, any revision of the law must include a robust data collection and annual evaluation provision. It is critical that the state collects and reports transparent, disaggregated data on students at risk of retention, retained students, and details on the various pathways within the retention process and accompanying outcomes, such as the number and percentage of retained students who retest and their pass rate. Ultimately, it's important that we know if this intervention actually works and actually serves our students well. Without that information, we will be doing a disservice to our students. While further recommendations will require more time beyond what's allotted today, our team at EdTrust will ensure that every member of this subcommittee receives resources that include timely data, potential implications of this law, and questions for consideration around the serious issue of retention. The Education Trust will be happy to serve as a resource to any of you, and our team is available to meet with you and your teams, conduct research, or serve as a thought partner on this and other education issues. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. Nash. For this committee, if you can get to me just some bullet points on what your recommendations are. One of the things we are putting together, like we announced on the floor yesterday, that we'll be having a retention calendar. And all those bills have to do with retention will be put on one calendar to be discussed at length, trying to make the best decisions for our students that are going to not only help them in third grade, but start in kindergarten to make those decisions so that they can take advantage of everything that happens in high school for them. With the hundreds of millions of dollars we're spending in high school, we need to make sure our students can take advantage of that. So very nice presentation, sir.
Thank you so much, and we'll be happy to provide those resources.
Any questions? Chairman Reagan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of comments that you made that I have questions about. You implied that retention is punishment. Is that really what you meant?
Well, not exactly punishment. I think that the research around retention is mixed. I definitely think, there are probably situations where retention may be explored, but we just want to make sure that students are actually being set up for success and that actually retaining them is the best way to go. You know, we definitely believe, as I was saying before, that students, of course, should be getting earlier interventions, having that support beforehand. But there's a lot of research that shows that students are retained have, you know, mental health issues. They go on to have increased dropout rates from school, don't complete their work on time, a number of other negative effects. I'm not saying that we're fully opposed to retention, but we just want to make sure that if we are actually utilizing that it's something that's benefiting the students and actually supporting their learning, and they're actually getting the resources that they need to move ahead and become, you know, part of a literate society.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. So would you, go ahead, Representative Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So you're saying that retention can be considered, you know, student by student, but we shouldn't make some sweeping legislation based on a test score, that maybe locally that decision needs to be made about retention and not for huge groups, a huge swath of students. Is that what you're saying? Due to the research that says it can be retention can be incredibly damaging if it's not undertaken with a whole lot of thought.
Well, I think if retention is used, it definitely needs to be accompanied with a suite of other interventions as well. You have to make sure that they're actually, and you know, the legislation seeks to do that. There needs to be tutoring, there needs to be other supports, wraparounds, et cetera. I talked specifically about the unique circumstances of our English learners. We definitely need to know they're in a really unique and precarious situation, so we want to make sure they have the appropriate supports. So, you know, ultimately, if that decision is made, we just have to make sure that we're actually deploying those resources to support those students and make sure that they get what they actually need.
So, so listening to your points here, what you're saying is, I'm not going to put words in your mouth. Are you saying that if we look at the third grade retention law, we may be needing to look at doing something before we get to the third grade retention law where they're a year or 2 years behind, maybe increasing the supports in the K through 2 with the tutoring, with the opportunities for summer school, with the opportunities presented to get a student before they start to get behind. Let's keep them on grade levels so that when they get to third grade, if the retention law is still there, it's an anomaly that a student would fail. We've missed an educational issue there, or maybe a home issue. Am I?
Right, I would definitely say we would fully support more robust resources in the early grades. As a former kindergarten teacher, and like I said, I was in the ASD, as many of you know, those are the most grave of our priority schools. I would see students, I would even have situations where parents would come to me. I had really specifically remember my third week of teaching, and a parent came to me and shared that they couldn't support the student with their homework because they too were illiterate. Mm-hmm. So you can imagine how, you know, my heart broke into pieces considering that. So thinking about how do we reach these students early on? How do we, you know, we have pre-K situations in different scenarios across the state, but how are we making sure that we're making those investments as early as possible and not just waiting to the third grade to have that retention gate there, but making sure that we're proactive in providing those resources on the front end of a student's education.
Would you agree that moving forward, trying to get a different outcome of our students, not only in third grade, but in eighth and in high school and in life, we have to do something in early education to change the dynamic that we have right now. We can't keep going on with status quo. We have to find a solution to make sure that more kids are reading on grade level so that they can take an opportunity, whether that means tutoring, summer school, interventions early, parent teacher, whatever it is. All things should be considered before we get to third grade where that line in the sand is drawn.
Exactly, I would agree.
Chairman White?
In your discussion, it kind of made me ask a question. As a former kindergarten teacher, what is your experience on start date of those who go to kindergarten and or retention in kindergarten, after kindergarten?
Can you, on the start date, like specifically?
Like, we hear a lot about when a child may be ready. I know every child is different, but when a child is ready to begin kindergarten, you know, the June, the August dates, you know, all those things. And then if a child is moved through kindergarten and they're not ready, maybe to move on to first grade, do you have an opinion on all this?
I definitely think I would want to, of course, look at the research before I make any like sweeping generalization. But I think I would agree. I had students who came in who knew their letters, who some were even already knew how to read. We had some who, could do their name, first name, middle name, last name, and then we had other students, particularly students who may have come from homes where where literacy was an issue, who were at a completely different space. So it really does vary from class to class. Each year I saw a diversity of students. So I don't know if I really have a specific recommendation around that question.
Members? No? Ms. Nash, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Next up, Tennessee Education Association.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask, what was our cutoff date for closing on this?
When we tell you, you got 5 minutes.
No, sir, I'm talking about when this committee is over.
4:30.
Okay, great.
You're not going to take a half an hour, are you?
No, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Teaching last period is always a rough thing.
Introduce yourself, please.
Sorry, go ahead. I'm Jim Rye, Assistant Executive Director for Tennessee Education Association, Head of Government Relations and Communications, and 30-year educator in Southern education.
Thank you for the tag team approach that we're going to do today. I am Tanya Coates. I am the president of the Tennessee Education Association, the past president of the Knox County Education Association, where I served also I had the privilege of serving as the vice president before this position. I have many decades in the classroom, and I was recognized by our most recent superintendent for a prestigious award the first time ever from Knox County. And I received a prestigious award from the Martin Luther King Commission on regards to education. But today I want to talk more so about the Tennessee Education Association. For 158 years, the Tennessee Education Association has been focusing on improving student outcomes and strengthening public education and improving teacher practices throughout the state of Tennessee. TEA is a professional organization that is outlined in our Constitution and bylaws and is, as you can see in our IRS designation, that we are 501c6. Membership in the Tennessee Education Association is 100% voluntary. We are proud of the membership that we have, and it's very active and engaged and very robust across the state, from Memphis to all the way to Mountain City. We are a member-driven organization, governed and directed by our membership. It is important to understand that the issues and positions that we advocate here at the legislature come directly from all of our members. We have local associations in every school district, and I stated that before, from Mountain City all the way to zigzagging to Memphis. These locals are self-governed and are encouraged and engaged in enhancing teaching and learning and improving the policies to see that our progress is made in the state of Tennessee. TEA is the largest pre-server for professional development across the state. Much of our certifications of professional development is done by teachers for teachers. By distributing this success and good ideas and practice we have with our colleagues statewide, we are known for teaching our profession and we are known for teaching in our profession because it's just not a job. We are the only ones that are licensed in this profession, the state of Tennessee, who is governed by our own body and not by a majority of you. So I'm going to tag team with my friend here that is going to give furthermore what we do, but it's also fair and right to say that we are trusted by teachers in the state of Tennessee because we are the professionals that we hope that you get to know that we are.
So let's go over some of our
Mr. Rye, Mr. Rye, get your mic on.
How's that now? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, Madam Chairman, other people who are now back in education, and people that are just joining us now. Again, I'm Jim Rye. Couple of areas that we'd like to talk to you about. First off, you'll hear about the teacher pipeline and the teacher shortage statewide. That is something, of course, that we are gravely concerned about. One of the issues that we, in dealing with the teacher shortage, is professional compensation. It's really important that we pay teachers as the college-educated professionals that they are. And so there are times when we discuss with you all and people in the finance and people in the administration, teacher salaries, insurance, how do we make educators compensated for the important work that they do. We're often I don't say castigated, but aren't you for the students? The fact is, we all need to be for the teachers because teachers are for their students. One of our big pushes last year, and we'll talk about it this year, is the issue of teacher insurance. As you well know, state employees get an 80-20 split on their insurance. That's 20% employees, 80% employer, as the state. TEA is the expert in teacher insurance. We collect all of the insurance data from every LEA. We do comparatives of that. The average teacher in our state is paying 32% of their coverage, including family coverage. And there are teachers in our state that pay 55% of their family coverage, which is over $800 a month for their insurance. And 30 seconds, thank you very much. Third grade retention, multiple measures. We're dealing with 8 and 9-year-olds. Let me repeat that. We're dealing with 8 and 9-year-olds, and they demonstrate capacity in reading in many different ways, not just on a standardized test at the end of the school year. So we'll discuss that with all of you as we're moving forward. And the last thing we'll finish up with a whole variety of things is, welcome, Colleen. You've got big shoes to fill. We all here in this committee know that Patrick did an outstanding job, and he moved on for something in professional. But so far, you've done a great job. Appreciate the notifications. This committee is really important. All education committees are really important, and we are proud to be the largest professional association and represent the majority of teachers in our state.
Thank you very much. Just to clarify, is TEA's position that you are arguing for teachers to become state employees?
No.
Okay, just want to clarify that because it sounded like it. Okay.
Important, and appreciate that, Mr. Chairman, that most teachers get their insurance through the state group insurance plan, which has 3 components to it: the state employees, K-12, and local government. Our K-12 side, Benefits Administration, does an outstanding job as a self-insured pool. There are some LEAs that don't participate in that, but then we have to keep our eyes on that the law stipulates that that insurance has to be comparable in value and in service. And sometimes that takes a great amount of work on our end to make sure that that's going through. But our side of Benefits Administration State Group Insurance Plan, since we are a majority women's profession, that we have had far less medical inflation than in general. It's an exceptionally well done plan. The problem is that the state puts in only 45% of the weighted premium. That's in our budget, and we actually write into our budget document that a teacher will get 45% from their employer. But unfortunately, where there are school systems that don't add more than that, that is why the teachers pay 55% of their premium on family coverage. And that is a huge, absolutely huge bite. And so if we can get more money put into teacher insurance, you will see the largest increase in take-home pay that this state has ever seen for teachers. And as you well know, when teachers get a raise and that take-home pay goes up, we spend it. It'll be an economic boom for communities across this state.
Members? There you go.
Yeah, appreciate y'all.
Appreciate you
Thank
coming
you.
forward.
Thank you.
Way to go, Colleen. Keep it up.
Last up is jobs for Tennessee grads. If you'll introduce yourself, and you have 5 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, thank you for this opportunity. My name is John Dwyer. I am the president and CEO of Jobs for Tennessee Graduates, JTG. We are a state affiliate of Jobs for America's Graduates, a national organization. We're one of 39 state affiliates. We'll soon be transitioning, by the way, to JAG Tennessee. It's one less acronym to fight through and explain. Also, it's not in my notes, but I'm married to my lovely wife, Lindley, of 12 years. Just thought that was important to
You'll be able to go home tonight.
Put on the record. I will be able, the door will be unlocked. Good to know. Look, of the seniors that we are in front of, those that went to school when they're 13 and 14, and in March of 2020 were sent home, they have never had a normal high school experience like we have. Our seniors, the boots on the ground, our specialists who we employ to deliver the JAG model, the boots on the ground tell me this: this generation of seniors is the most uninspired, unmotivated, mentally damaged generation in modern educational history. There's been nothing like it. Conversely, we have a workforce opportunity here in Tennessee that is unrivaled. More good-paying jobs with great benefits, and quite frankly, we're scared that we can't fill them. Jobs for Tennessee graduates has amazing students who have low self-esteem. We target 35 to 45 of those who have barriers to graduation, and that could mean anything. We have valedictorians. We have those that have absentee problems, that have to take care of sick parents, that couch hop. We have talented seniors that we're in front of right now. These folks have plans after high school. We will graduate probably 9 out of 10 high school seniors. We'll do that and pat ourselves on the back. Most of them will not have a plan after high school. JTG makes sure these students leave the graduation stage with a plan. Is that a 4-year school? Could be. 2-year, fine. Workforce, a third of ours go into the full-time workforce. Not part-time, full-time. These students want to be nurses. They want to be linemen. They want to go into law. They want to weld. They want to go into hospitality and leadership. And yes, some teachers. We have our first JTG specialist alumnus in Haywood High School, and he is crushing it. Our young men and women, they can turn a wrench. The problem is they can't get to that wrench. Employers tell me that we can't find people to show up 4 days in a row, that can't pass a drug test, that are unemployable, not employable. What do? We employ the 37 employability competency skills within the JAG model. We have developed a more robust curriculum with the Department of Education and CTE. We are a CTE program. Starting in 23-24, I'm very proud to say that we are a 4th level program, and it aligns with any program of study. That's a deal maker for schools that could not get students to take a general elective. We're no longer that. In 24-25, we are now working on our revised standards, so we'll be offered to 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. We are told that sometimes people have already made a bad decision in their sophomore or junior year. We want to get in front of those students. We have a wait list. I've never had a wait list. A lot of them are around Blue Oval City. We have Dixon County High School, Benton Schools, Shelby County Schools. I have a list here. We're in 2 Shelby County schools, Westwood and Oak Haven. We also a wait list with Booker T. Washington, Hamilton High, Manassas, Sheffield, Tresvant, and Wooddale. We would love to be in those schools, but we also want to hit the rural communities, such as McNary and Tipton and Chester and Lake County. Cheatham County Schools, all 3 schools want to launch next year. Unicoi County Schools up in Northeast, Sullivan County Schools, 2 schools here, East and Westridge. Johnson County Schools, Kingsport, Dobbins, Bennett are going to launch next year. They want this program. They see what these folks have gone through. $9.2 million of post-secondary education awarded to our 2022 graduates. Our data system, which we track students in high school and a 12-month follow-up, the 12-month follow-up is the secret sauce. Kids after high school, they all feel great, and then they slip and they drop out of whatever post-secondary opportunities they have. So what I ask of you is, 1, awareness. If your CTE director doesn't know about us, your superintendent, they should. And everywhere we are, we up the graduation rate, 99%, but more importantly, our positive outcomes are 82%. We have people have a plan after high school, and they become taxpayers, not living off society. So that's my case. Any questions?
Members, Chairman Reagan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and congratulations on what you've touted there. But I do have a very important question. Some of the employers in my district have echoed some of the same things you said about getting people to show up 4 days in a row plus or not passing a drug test. In fact, one of them I just spoke to recently talked about advertising for a job, 15 vacancies, and 45 people showed up. They went through the introduction phase of it, gave everybody a bathroom break, saying that they need to pee in a cup and then come back, and 10 people came back. So how are you tackling that problem?
Well, part of the JAG model, there's 3 components to it. One of them is project-based learning. That's nothing new to get in a group and learn as a project. Part of that is conflict resolution with coworkers, which you don't get to pick your coworker. Trauma-informed care. These kids have gone through a lot. We instill them that you're not going to be employable and you're not going to get off the couch and you're not going to go to college and have a part-time job if you can't pass a drug test. We know that it's federally against the law. Trying to get these young people to understand that is one of the tough tasks we do. And it's part of our lesson plans in the JAG model to pass this drug test. And what does that mean? What's the drilling down to what's that mean? When can you smoke, when you can't smoke? It is absolutely outrageous that we have to spend time in the classroom, but it's necessary to do that. And then the third thing is employer engagement. We do go out and work with local employers and build those relationships so that there is a pipeline. A lot of students come and say, I want to go to UTC because my sister went there. And they say, well, what do you want to do? Well, I want to do X. Well, this is a better school. So we help them connect those dots. But back to your point, we do emphasize the fact that you won't go anywhere if you can't pass the drug test. Unfortunately, more and more employers are bypassing that because they need to fill a workforce.
Members? Mr. Dwyer, thank you for your time.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Yes, sir. Members, you've heard the presentations today. I'm sure any of those presenters would love to get with you and have a conversation with you about their programs and what they believe is a step forward in education. We will have a calendar next week, so there'll be possibly 1 or 2 bills in here to be considering. Other than that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. Motion to adjourn. We'll see you next week.